All right, I don't see us on the Facebook page, but let me get back out and get back in again.
Yeah, mine says we're live on Facebook recording, so
Oh, excellent. Okay,
yeah,
we're there.
I think we got it.
There we are. We're there.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Hello, everybody who has joined us. We are on Facebook Live now, and we will be loading this up onto YouTube later, most likely tomorrow morning. My name is Joan Hepsworth. I'm here at the Paperback Exchange Bookstore in Port Richey, Florida. And we have the honor to interview, I believe, his first interview with author A.W. Mason with his first book. Let me get this. The Haunt of Travels. A collection of 11 short stories, suspense, horror, psychological, reflective, I guess, a couple of them.
Yep. Oh yeah, crime, terror, everything. A little bit of hodgepodge.
So thank you so much today for joining us, Mr. A.W.
Thank you for having me.
And we're just going to go through a couple of quick questions as far as, you know, the who, what, where, and why of how you ended up writing your first book. Who was your inspiration, and when did you get started with this?
You know, I grew up reading. It was a big thing back in the day. We'd have the Pizza Hut personal pan pizzas for how many ever books you read, and that kind of just spawned my my reading love for reading. And then my dad introduced to me Stephen King at a very young age, which I think was fantastic. Some parents might think, "Oh, you're doing it too young," but so you know, I read Christine. I also grew up with the Goosebump books and a bunch of other kind of things that kind of really spawn what I'm writing now.
Not stories about Pollyanna?
What's that?
Not stories about Pollyanna?
No, I mean, Boxcar Children, I mean, those things are still there, but you know, those aren't things that really spawn me to write. But yeah, it really kind of grew from there. So you got those kind of things growing up, and then you just start reading other things like Richard Chismar and just a bunch of great authors. It doesn't even have to be horror. I grew up also reading like J.D. Salinger and the classics, and those things all kind of, in a way, shaped what I kind of write today.
What made you decide to finally just sit down and actually be a writer? Was it reading other people's stories and tweaking them around in your head, or?
Oh yeah, I wrote from a young age. I never really took it very seriously. I've always read, and then I think at one point during college, I took a couple of creative writing classes. I'm like, okay, this is neat. Maybe I can try to, you know, do something with this class. And a lot of the stories in the book are stories I wrote during creative writing classes that have been heavily edited and worked through. But those classes really, I guess, gave me the encouragement to kind of pursue more of a writing thing, where I didn't think it would be something that I'd be successful at, or something I'd actually, and well, I know I'd enjoy doing it, but something that I didn't really.
You could make money doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And finally, you know, just everything kind of came to fruition. I had all these stories, and you know what? Let's put them on a book. Let's see what we can do to publish it.
So how long of a process was this? You said you had some short stories already that you had tucked away from some classes, but when you decided to finally sit down, how about what kind of a time frame was it? Did you give yourself to
once
the deadline?
Once I said, you know what, I'm going to actually do this. It took about a year. I already had a good base of stories, probably 4 or 5, and I'm thinking, you know, I got to round it out. It can't just be 4 or 5 stories. I got to put some more in there.
What platform did you use to write on?
I just use Microsoft Word, and I use Microsoft Word to edit all my stuff, to format all my stuff. And I'll tell you what, the writing process is super easy. The editing process and formatting process is a nightmare sometimes. And for this
one, how many times did you go through the edit? How many edits did you
have? It's a funny story.
Did you lose count?
Well, I did lose count, because every time I edited something, it'd be Travels V11, Travels V12, you know, version 12, version 11. So I went through it quite a bit, and a lot of that was just formatting, and it's a it is an art to make sure that the book gets the way it's supposed to be. Writing is an art, but I think the editing and formatting of the book in itself is just as much of an art as it is the writing.
So, what was your muse for any of these stories? Do you have anybody? Did you write from people that you knew, or how did you come up with the stories?
Yeah, so you know the old saying goes, you write what you know, right? So a lot of these things, there's a lot of me in these stories, and a lot of I guess little anecdotes about my own life, and then I guess to kind of make it all put together, my brain's always thinking, what would this happen, or what would happen if this happened, yada yada yada. So I take these personal experiences and whatever kind of else bounces around in my head, and I'll look back to the things I've read and kind of gain knowledge from that. It's just there's not really a process to it. It's just something pops up and I got to do that.
Do you have a do you have a notebook handy? Do you wake up from a dream and write something down? You have a recorder?
I
What's your
have
process? What's your mechanical process?
that's a good question. I have a little journal beside my nightstand that never gets written in, because when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I should write this down. Like, oh, I got to get ready for work. I got to do something else.
All the best
Luckily,
intentions, right?
yeah, the best intentions in the world, but luckily I have a pretty good memory. So, and things just strike me whenever they strike me. So I'll have a thought, or I'll have something that's in my mind that's kind of burrowing in there, and I'll get home and just start typing it out. A lot of the times it doesn't work out to anything, but you get those little nuggets every now and then that really turn into something special.
Find the human aspect of it and run
Hmm.
run with it
Yeah,
from there. Well,
absolutely.
the stories in here are quite enjoyable, and in looking through some of your reviews, you don't, this is your first book, first time out. I was looking on Amazon, looking on, didn't see a whole lot of them on Books a Million. Where else can we find your book besides the Paperback Exchange bookstore here in this area? Have you reached out to some of the other bookstores too?
Yeah, so Mojo Books and Records in Tampa. They're a place you can go check out. They're an awesome bookstore, like the bookstore you have set up there. They'll have it, and then of course Amazon, since did the whole self-publishing thing. They they make the process a little easier, as far as trying to get all things put together. If you don't
And
want to,
we encourage anyone who's read A.W. Mason's book to please go put a review on. I don't think we emphasize that enough,
mhm.
especially with these algorithms and platforms that are already kind of bred into leaning one way or the other. It's so important uh, to have that feedback to encourage you to write another book, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and for especially a lot of self-published authors, the reviews on Goodreads or Amazon or Instagram or anything like that. That's what really puts our name out there. That's what really extends our reach to other readers.
Get you to the top of the algorithm, right?
Yeah, whatever the algorithm is, I still haven't figured it out.
The
I don't know.
algorithm of putting dollar signs in my bank account, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I set out just wanting to write for myself, and I still write for myself, and I think it's awesome that other people read it and other people enjoy it. But at the same token, it's fantastic that people buy it and enjoy it, and they tell me about it, and like you said, that just gets me a little bit more pumped up to do
So,
something else.
so, so on one of the stories, Mama Janky writes, I just love this review
Oh
on
yeah.
21-mile chances, right? Like Bachman's long walk, but actually good. Instead of being a bloated fart joke compromised of obscure thesaurus words.
Yeah,
I love that review. I
Mama
love
is not a fan of the Bachman books because for that reason alone, just like the bloatedness of the stories. So when I had that praise, I thought that was a very one of the best reviews I've had.
and ever important to go back and I am terrible about going back and putting reviews on. That was one of my goals for this year, was to try to at least give my Uber driver good reviews.
Oh, I suffer from that malady too. Even as a writer, it's like you know what? I read all these great books. I need to go out and make sure people know that they're great as well.
Well, and and it's not because I didn't like the book. It's just
Yeah,
because I just didn't take the time to set aside to go say
yeah,
thanks for writing the book. It's important for us
yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, we all
And
have this thing
that's
called
why
life we
we.
have to deal with.
Pardon me.
We all have this thing called life we have to deal with, right?
I know, right? Day jobs, life. It keeps happening. It keeps happening. So, so you've got another book in the works. Did you write? Did you write this? This one came out. The Haunted Travels came out in 2020.
Yes.
No, in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. What better time to write?
I know you say you come right, but I think I saw you like right before everything kind of shut down, and
Yep.
you showed up at the shop and was just like, "It's a great book. Yes, let's put it in here." And
Yeah.
and then we were shut down for about 20 days or so until we could figure out that we weren't actually infecting people with it by passing books around. Um, and
Yeah.
we've always cleaned our books. Duly noted. This is my PSA. We have always cleaned our books off from day one. We just didn't advocate that because we didn't want y'all to think your hands were dirty, but your hands and books are dirty. Wash your books and your
Yes.
hands.
And your hands. Yeah.
So you had some downtime. I'm finding that is to be the truth with our writers group here in this area. Everybody's popping out of the woodwork now, and they've taken good advantage of this time to be down and not be running around. So you've got this one, The Haunt of Travels.
There it is. Yep.
And then what else are you working on? What's next?
So,
Because I'm gonna finish this one pretty quick. So
well, the other one I'm working on right now. I'm tentatively plan to finish it by the summer. I'll have it edited and probably release it for the winter.
have you named it?
Um, what's that?
Have you named it?
Yes. So the title is called The Cleanup Crew, and the book is
I
it's
know it's
weird
weird,
fiction.
weird fiction.
It's weird fiction.
What is
Yeah.
weird? What? How would you define weird fiction?
So weird fiction, it kind of just a lot of Chuck Palahniuk books. That's weird fiction.
So
Things that don't.
all kind of up in your head and all of that.
Yes, things that make you think, things that make you challenge norms and societal norms, things that don't fall really neatly into a
Not
category.
not lazy like a slasher flick.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, fun to write, fun to watch, but sometimes they don't make you think, right? Yeah, this one's going to be its premise is it's about a society that doesn't really recognize death or deal with the loss of a person. So imagine yourself, you're in Starbucks, you're in line to get your coffee or whatever you're getting, and the guy in front of you has a heart attack, drops dead right there on the floor. Well, most people, the reaction is what? Oh my gosh, let's help this guy. Instead, this society, hey, it's your turn at the counter. We're going to walk over them and go get our coffee. And then when the body becomes a nuisance, you call in the cleanup crew. They take them away. The protagonist is part of the cleanup crew, and he really questions the whole, why are we not, understanding death the way it is in the society today? And he kind of gets himself in some trouble, and it's interesting.
And shy of the editing process, what's your date? When do you think that's going to be available for us to read?
I'm thinking my goal right now, and when I say my goal, that's going to really help me chat my ass to go do it. But it'll probably be winter this year.
Now that everything's opened up again, you probably don't have as much time to write, do you?
Well, you know what? The thing it is, I always tell my friends and everyone that reads, some people are weekend warriors. I'm a weekend writer, or something along those lines. So I will find some time to write. I try to write every day. It doesn't always work out, but luckily this one's almost finished, and the editing process will ensue, and we'll see what happens after that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, we will definitely look forward to that coming out, and we'll want to have it here in the shop for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So I've created just a little bit of a speed round. I think we've gone over pretty much the logistics of what your short stories are about, what your next stories are going to be coming out. So I like to put together a little bit of a speed round. You have 2 choices each time. Okay. You're not allowed to come up with your own.
Excellent.
So here we go. Speed round for A.W. Mason on this first day of summer. June 21st, 2021.
Here we go.
First question. King or McCammon?
King.
Of course, I knew that just from talking to you.
Yeah.
Rubber monsters or CGI?
Oh, Rubber Monsters all the way.
Slasher flick or psychological?
Mm,
Tricky.
psychological. Yeah.
So maybe you can come up with a psychological slasher flick.
There we go.
Boris or Bella?
Oh, Boris all the way.
Glad you knew that reference. Oh, God, I'm not that old. Twilight Zone or Outer Limits?
Oh, they're both so good. Outer Limits just because no one ever gives that love.
Yeah, Twilight Zone is overplayed.
Yeah.
Mind trip or time slip?
Ooh, that's a good one too. Let's go with the time slip on that one. Look, they're very hard to do.
And last but not least, watch how you answer this. Hardcover or paperback?
You know what? I'm going to give you two answers on this. I'm breaking the rules. I'm going to collect the hardcover. I'm going to read the paperback.
Oh yes, that's the perfect answer. That's the best answer I've gotten so far. Oh, thank you so much for that one. I'll take that answer every day, all day long.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We will share this out onto Facebook, and I'll put a little message that people can guess a number between 1 and 50 that you've already given me. And we will be giving away a signed copy of The Haunt of Travels to anybody in the continental U.S. or anybody here in town.
Yeah.
And we thank you so very much for joining us today, Mr. A.
Yep. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you do for the local authors, and let's go Bolts.
Yes, let's go Bolts. Thank you so much. Take care now.
Thank you.